Hello, and welcome to Mid-Market Leaders, the podcast featuring leaders from some of America's most impactful but lesser-known companies. My name is Jeff Cass. I'm an executive coach here in Charlotte, North Carolina, who retired in 2023 after more than 30 years of leadership in corporate America, and I'll be your host. My guest today is Joe Gallagher, who is the founder of Gallagher Fleet Solutions in Statesville, North Carolina. Joe is a former Marine, former welder, former diesel mechanic who decided 7 years ago to create his own fleet repair and maintenance shop. Today, he has 2 locations, offers mobile service in Gaston County, and has grown to 32 employees. Joe, congratulations on the growth of your business and welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate that. It's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me on your podcast. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, you bet. I am too. So why don't we just start kind of with a background? Tell us a little bit about your career and then tell us why you decided to start a fleet solutions company, okay?
Absolutely. So I grew up in Central California in a little town called Bakersfield. It's in the San Joaquin Valley. It's a very agricultural, oil-based cattle country of California. My dad was a diesel mechanic by trade on the heavy equipment side, and then my mom was a teacher. So they've been married for over 40 years. They had 11 kids together and just had their 38th grandchild, I believe.
Wow.
Grew up in a farmer mentality, blue collar, skilled trades family. I had a hard time not getting detention at school, so went to work a little bit early and picked up the trade from my dad. He was a solopreneur and had his own service truck. So I went to work with him and then worked with the company that he contracted for. He was an excellent technician, taught me about quality and attention to detail. Not so much a businessman, but definitely the best in his trade. So I picked up that notion of that thought process of, hey, be the best at what you do and you'll always be busy from him. I left home when I was 18, continued the trade on my own as I lived on my own, joined the Marine Corps. I wanted to learn a couple skills, mainly discipline, do something that I would never be able to do before or do outside of the Marine Corps. I'm a patriotic guy, so I wanted to serve my country and get an education and see the world. So those are a couple of my goals and reasons why I joined the Marine Corps. I literally remember the day I just Googled it. What's the hardest job in the Marine Corps? And then I said, I want to do that. Might not have been the wisest choice for me, but I wanted to do the hardest thing in the hardest branch of the military, and I wanted to do it for discipline to learn how to do something hard and then overcome all those obstacles. So I signed up for that. I was a recon Marine. So I went to about a year of training, stationed in Okinawa, Japan. Was on a Marine Expeditionary Unit, so I was on ship for several months, and then transitioned into Camp Pendleton. Finished out my Marine Corps time there. Just did 4 years, got out, never did a combat deployment, unfortunately, but was able to serve my country, learn a lot of cool things, learn some discipline, some leadership, some grit, and overcome some obstacles. So while I was in the Marine Corps, I dated a woman who's from North Carolina. We never got married, but we ended up having a child together. That's my oldest son, Max Gallaher. He's now 15. So his
Hmm.
him lived out here in the Charlotte, North Carolina area. So I wanted to be closer to them and have an impact on his life and do the right thing and be an active role as his dad here in
Mhm.
Carolina. So I left California, moved to North Carolina. It was a hell of a lot better out here than it is where I'm from. So it's not a hard, convincing thing to do. And I wanted to do something that I enjoyed. I wanted to learn how to work on heavy equipment. I enjoyed it. I like working with my hands, a sense of accomplishment. I related to the people that did the work, and it was something familiar with me. So I was looking for jobs in the heavy equipment industry on Caterpillars and Komatsu's earth moving equipment. It was in 2012, coming out of the tail end of the recession, and I didn't have a whole lot of applicable skills. So I was just coming out of the
Hmm.
Marine Corps. I knew how to blow stuff up, shoot guns, hike a bunch. I was in really good shape, but I didn't know how to fix equipment. And there weren't a ton of jobs active for people just doing the trade. They wanted skilled people to come in and do it. So the truck shops were always hiring. And I took the first job I could get, $12 an hour. Still remember walking in for the interview. Still remember my first day, and I walked into the shop. I had my Craftsman toolbox with all kinds of tools that my parents gave me for Christmas and for my birthdays, and I picked up at an early age. And I remember
Mm-hmm.
the toolbox, and I got all my stuff settled in. And I went to like the lead tech at the shop that I was doing these. I was like, "All right, I'm ready to go." He's like, "Okay, we're gonna do a wheel seal on this truck." I was like, "All right, cool, let's do it. What's a wheel seal?" And then he, "Serious? Yeah, what is it? Show me. Let's do it. I'm down. We can get it done." So, starting from scratch, essentially, for barely, I mean, I don't even pay people $12 an hour. So, bringing them in and coming in, really working my way up from the bottom. I started to learn about the industry, learned about the trucking industry, learning about the opportunities in North Carolina and the Charlotte area for that. And I really just fell in love with it. And it's a fast pace, ready to go, quick turnaround. There's a lot of money involved. I like the people there, I like the hustle of it. There's a lot of opportunity in the Carolinas for that stuff in the Southeast. So I want to learn all about all that I could. And I knew
Mm-hmm.
that the dealership was going to give me the technical expertise that I was looking that independent shop wasn't able to give me. So I sought out a job, got a job at the Freightliner dealership, and this is in about 2013. So I said, hey, you know what? If I'm going to do this, I'm going to be a technical expert. I'm going to learn how to work on these trucks, and it's not going to be one that I can't fix. I want to do the hardest job. That was my mindset. Like, give me the hardest jobs, or give me the hardest job in the Marine Corps, give me the hardest job on the truck repair shop. So that was my mindset. I got a job there working second shift, just started from the bottom, man, like second shift and Saturdays from doing the easy work. And I started going to school for engineering. I thought I wanted to be an engineer or learn more about trucks and just do a deep dive there. I always had this entrepreneurial burn in me. I come from a big family of entrepreneurs, and I've always had that entrepreneurial burn, but I also like the technical aspect and I like the challenge of design and engineering and stuff. Well, I thought I did.
Okay. Okay.
I actually left the trade and worked at an engineering firm, and I realized it was a desk job. And I wasn't smart enough to be an engineer because I took chemistry, and I was like, ooh, physics and chemistry. I got past that with good grades to get a good engineering job. I was like, no, I'm good. And then I realized how much money they made, and I was like, I think we could do better than this. So
Okay. Okay.
dropped the engineering, picked up business, and then with the mindset of saying, hey, I'm going to start a truck repair company. I'm going to start a fleet service solutions. And my idea of it back then was a little bit different, but I had this vision of what it looked like. And I wanted to have a trucking company and a truck repair company and then match the synergies there because I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of vertical integration. So that was my original viewpoint of it, and that's what I was going to do. So ended up saving some money, bought a service truck, finished out college, was doing a little bit of side work before then, wanted to get the college done. It was different for me because I was in my later 20s as I went to school, and I was there not to check a box, I was there to learn. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that just the checked box classes, I got C's in, and I barely passed. But the business classes, the finance classes, the leadership classes, the HR classes, the entrepreneurial classes, I was all in. I was all in, like, hey, I'm going to learn this stuff because it's going to help me grow my business. So that was a really good thing for me. I think that helped me learn more about how to be a better businessman. And then it really taught me was lifelong learning. It just helped me understand that I needed to be on a lifelong journey of learning. And my mom's a
Yeah.
teacher. So she instilled that in me when a really young age of like, hey, we're going to learn. And I saw my mom going to college and getting her certificates. I would go to school with her and hang out and go do whatever while she was in class. And it built into me a deep down desire to learn. And college,
Yeah.
later years, like kind of gave me what is studying, right? Like what it taught me like how to study, not how
Mm-hmm.
to learn, but how to study something enough to where I could pass a test and prove that I knew the material. And it also taught me how to communicate better, written communication, verbal communication, and how to be more prepared. Right. So how to prepare for something, how to act under pressure. So there's some hard skills that I learned in college other than just getting a certificate of a business degree and saying I can run a business out, which did not teach me how to run a day-to-day business
Yeah.
mechanics of business. So in 2018, I graduated. I remember specifically the day that I graduated. I graduated in the fall. So it was December 18th, 2018. And I bought the service truck a little bit before, and I was picking up some side work because I wanted to test the market to see if I could bring any valuable skills. And it
And
was
this is you only working, right? It's only you, the only employee.
me and the service truck. And I remember the morning I was to graduate, somebody came, hey, I need to do some brake job on this truck. And I quoted them and I got the job. And I went out there, it was like 7 in the morning. It was like sleeting, snowing. And I swapped the brakes out real fast. I knocked out a bunch of things, made some money, and then took off, went home, showered up, put my like cloak on, my little hat, and all that stuff, and then got in the car, went to the graduation. My son was there with me, my oldest son, Max was there with me. And I remember we went to the graduation party and there was a bunch of family and friends there. And he just thought wearing that hat was like the coolest thing ever, man. Like I got so many pictures
Mhm.
like wearing the graduation hat. It was really cute and cool. It was just memorable. And I just remember like the day of and how that set the tone and what I was going to do from there. So, starting from scratch, bootstrapping Gallagher Fleet Solutions, it's just grit and hard work and tenacity, which my dad taught me a lot in the first shop that I worked for. My older brother, who's a really successful entrepreneur and helps me a lot and guides me, he says this because we worked for the same company as Tom Taylor. He said, Tom taught me how to sweat, right?
Mhm.
Dad taught me how to like grind, like wake up in the morning, be consistent, get your ass to work on time and put in the freaking work, right?
Yeah, right.
From there we can do something, right? We can, if we have the drive, the initiative, and the grit to get something done, and you put some smarts to it and you learn and you can apply it and then you can put some skills to it, then we can make something happen. Started with those things, so that's all I knew and that's what I started with. And then along the journey, as I was growing and scaling and hiring people, I started to realize, man, this is freaking hard. Like harder than it looks. Like these, some of these guys make this look easy. Like I thought I was just going to show up, hire some guys. They were going to show up on time, do their job, do it well, and work hard like me and care like me, and it was all going to be perfect and dandy. And I was going to make millions of dollars, and we're right off into the sunset. Well, it's
Life
obvious.
would be easy, right?
Yeah, learned to be different. So, hired the first guy a couple months in, started scaling it. COVID happened, overcome some obstacles there, moved shops around, hired some more people, found a good location, started to build some building blocks there. Just going through the business cycles, really, just like bootstrapping it and then getting on the treadmill and running, and then just adding different people, going, I call it the desperate phase of business where it's like, hey, you showed up, you can breathe, and you say you can do the job, like you're hired, right? And put them in place, and then like going from there and there, and then like I originally talked about, I wanted a trucking company, and then I wanted a repair shop because of the synergies. There was a trucks became really cheap in 2020, right before COVID happened, or right as COVID was happening. Saw an opportunity, bought five over the road trucks, leased some trailers, started a trucking company. We did that for 2 years. Made a bunch of money because it was the COVID boom. But what it really taught me was, hey, what do I really want to do? And what's my niche? And how do I stay down the path of who we are and where we're going? And I'm grateful that I got
Mhm.
to learn that as an early entrepreneur, because a lot of entrepreneurs get this shiny object syndrome, and they might say, like, oh, I can make a bunch of money doing this and I can make a bunch of money doing that. And they can, and a lot of them do, right? But there's
Mhm.
strategy behind their business ventures. They're just making money, right? Or they
Yeah.
like it. And I did that with trucks. I thought, well, we could fix them and, blah, 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 blah. And it does help for sure. But what I realized was, I was like, it's a different business model. They're related. And the only thing that's related is they both have trucks in them. That's it.
Yeah.
And
Everything
then,
else is different.
yeah, everything else is different. So I did those for 2 years. And once it started to get hard, like it was easy for 2 years. Once it started to get hard, I was like, oh man, this is not what I want to do. So I ended up selling all the trucks. It was the only time in US history that I know of that a depreciating asset appreciated and I made more money.
Good timing for you to get out.
Yeah. So we took that, sold all the trucks, made some good money on them, and just poured it right back into the repair company and to
Okay.
solutions. And then
How big was the repair company at that stage, Joe?
I think we had about 12 people.
12
Yeah,
people?
12 people. So we were in a shop for 3 years. We moved down in Mooresville, which is about 20 minutes from where we're at now. And then we moved to a bigger location in about 3 years ago, coming up on 3 years. I think we had about 12, 13 people at the most. Some was left over from the trucking side, and we kept we were too heavy in the office, and then we moved everybody up here. And then that's when we really started to dig deep and figure out who we are, what we're doing, why we're here. Later that year, I had a management turnover, had some people in the business that I needed to get out, got them out, hopped back in the driver's seat, really started to find who we were, where we want, what we wanted to do, what winning looks like, the type of people that I want, the type of business that we're at. And I really started to learn like this business is an expression of me. It's an
Yeah.
expression of my entrepreneurship. And I learned that from Ed Milet. He said entrepreneurship is a, what did he say? He says it's a self discovery and self growth career with a massive payday at the end if you do it really well.
Yeah.
And so I kind of took that and ran with it and just really started to pour in who I was into the business and really just dig deep and it's been really good. And we've been working and growing and just finding out who we are and hiring the right people and pouring into them and pouring in our purpose statement, our core principles, our mission, and why we're here, what we're doing. And it's been really good. We were able to identify some key leaders in the business that wanted to grow. Last year in January, so a year from today, from this month, we opened our second location, which is about an hour away. It's a brick and mortar shop. It's about 7,500 square feet. We got that up and running. We split off our mobile department. So now we have three revenue generating locations. We have here in Statesville is our headquarters. It's about 13,000 square feet. We're in about 15 people out of here. We have our mobile side, got 6 guys on that. And then we got our shop down in Bessemer City, which we're running 7 guys out of that. So about
Okay. Okay.
across the board, full-time, part-time people. We just hit 5 million top line revenue this past year. We have an operational leadership team. There's 6 of us, myself included. They're handpicked people from the business that help me run this thing, make decisions. And then, really our goal for this year, 2026, is to dominate the Charlotte market and as the go-to independent diesel truck and trailer repair business. So we have a plan for that. We're executing it. We're building out our sales and marketing team, putting a lot of processes into place so we can scale that and really just diving deep into like, hey, how do we make this thing scale and grow so that way I can just lead it, govern it, help it, but they're not relying on me to do a process in order to make it happen.
Okay. Wow. There's a lot there, Joe. I want to unpack some of that. Okay. Because I mean, you got a good story from kind of where you started all the way through today into a growing business. It seems like it's on really solid footing. So let's go back to one of the things you said. You said the business is kind of a reflection of who you are. So I want to understand who you are. You had said something here that I thought was interesting. When you went into the Marines, when you also, went did other things, you were looking for the hardest job, right? When you got to the dealership, I think it was the other one. Why is that? Tell us why you want the toughest job that's out there.
It's a good question, Jeff. And I don't know if it's something inside of me that has to prove it or has to just likes the challenge and the grit of it. Uh,
Hmm.
I think when I look and reflect back, that it helps me. It makes me feel alive, right? Like give me the hard
Hmm.
freaking thing and let me get it done, right? And that's just something that's invigorating to me. And I know through learning through like personal growth and development and just some of the stuff that I've learned from the organizations and the leaders that helped me put this together, it's like, hey, if you do hard things, like good stuff comes, right? So like and challenge yourself and the growth is in the discomfort. And like I've come to learn all that. I think I was like naive enough to be like, hey, I want to do the hardest thing ever, so let me try it. And then
Hmm.
being a good move. I was never the best at the hardest thing. Like I was more just like struggling to make it through. First job in the Marine Corps, I was typically the guy like last in the run, and it took me a while when I get to the middle of the pack. But at the end,
Hmm.
I think I was like, hey, I freaking made it, I guess.
But you enjoyed the struggle. You enjoyed the work. You enjoyed overcoming those challenges. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like in the moment, it sucks. Like you got to embrace the suck. Like the Marine Corps taught me a lot about like embracing the suck and like just going through it and the grind and the
Hmm.
grit of it. But I think it's just like the accomplishment of it. It's like the challenge.
Hmm.
Hey, this thing is really hard and I'm going to do it. I'm going to put myself in uncomfortable situations because I want what's on the other side of it, right? Like I
Yeah.
want alignment of what's on the other side. And it's not always easy to make those choices. I don't make them every time, but I knowing now, like, hey, I got to do the hard thing, right? Because that's where the reward is in the hard thing. And I don't want to be average. I think that's really what it comes down to for me is like, I don't want to be the gray guy that just goes through life and like checks the boxes and like has a shitty life at the end of his life. I want to push the envelope on that. I want to move the needle. I want to change my family tree and my generation. I want to make a difference in life. So I know that if I just do what everybody else is doing or average, then I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay. All right. That's a good mindset. You still have that today. It sounds like, you're going to do the tough things, to get to something that's better on the other side. So you had said early on, you were looking for discipline when you went to the Marines. If you're going to take on tough challenges, throughout your career and in business, you have to have discipline. So talk about that from your, kind of your journey as far as that goes. How did that work for you?
Yeah, I think discipline, when I was 16 and you asked me what discipline was, I probably couldn't tell you the definition of it or what it meant or anything. I just, I think a part of like the Marine Corps, like even just the commercials, like the guy climbing the rocks and like pulling out the sword and
Hmm.
the badass uniforms. And I had a couple different people in my life that were in the Marine Corps that had an impact on me. So in 2001, I was 13, and I specifically remember the day that 9/11 happened. And it shook me to
Hmm.
the core. It was the only time in my life when I was that young where I questioned our freedom as a country. And,
Hmm.
and that shook me to the core, and it really lit a fire in me of like, hey, I want to protect this. And I
Hmm.
remember walking in the halls of eighth grade and freshman year and sophomore year when I was going to high school, and like all the news is like Iraq and Afghanistan and like, George Bush invading and like fighting for our freedom and stuff. So like I think that made a really big impact on me. And, when I look at that and I saw the Marine Corps, like I just saw like young dudes that were in good shape and passionate about it and like had good looking wives. And they were just like somebody that I respected and emulated. Like, I want to be like that guy, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
I want to be like that guy. I want to look like that guy. I want to act like that guy. And I want the respect that that guy gets. So I think when
Hmm.
I was looking at that, like early formative years, like I saw like, oh, discipline was the Marine Corps, mind, body, soul, and they're just badass dudes, man. It was just like, and you watch the videos and you're like, this shit is cool. I want to do that, So I think that's where it's.
Okay. That's where it started. So you've developed it throughout that process, and you feel like you have good discipline today from a business standpoint?
In certain parts of my life, they're more disciplined than others. And I think really nobody's perfect in that regard. And I think like I have to understand, hey, what is discipline and how do I practice it? And then how do I have a disciplined organization? And one thing that I've come to learn is like personal discipline uh, equates to discipline and out throughout our whole life. So like what I eat, what I work out, how I put my schedule, how, what my sleep schedule, like where my book, like what books am I reading? Like, am I showing up for the people in my life? Is, am I making the phone calls that I said I was going to make? Am I sending the gifts and doing the follow-ups and serving or volunteering? Like whatever that is that I got to commit to, if I got to do it in my life and it affects every area of my life, right? Like I don't think of,
Hmm.
hey, there's Joe Gallagher who when he leaves here, he just is Joe Gallagher that lives in a neighborhood and is a dad and blah blah blah. Like, no, it's the same person that and work at and personal life and it's a full circle. So like every aspect of my life. So it's like, hey, if my diet's off, and then my sleep's gonna be off, and then I'm gonna show up. I might be late or I might be moody when I show up in the morning. I don't feel that good. So then I'm gonna run, I'm gonna be more emotional that day. So when I'm leading the team, I'm a little bit more short fuse. So it's affecting my team, and then which affects the productivity of the company and then their happiness here, and then the customer is going to, reflection of my team members' experience. So it's just a trickle effect. So I realized,
Yeah.
like, hey, the more disciplined I am in my personal life, and my not in my personal life, but the more disciplined I am at home and in my routines and my health and fitness, then it translates into more discipline here at work. And that's
Yeah,
really.
I mean, most people that are truly genuine, you can't separate those characteristics, right? You're going to bring those same characteristics. And it's interesting. You seem to be very in touch with kind of who you are and what you bring then, on potentially the bad days, what you're describing, to the team that's there. So that's good. I think everybody kind of understands who Joe is. That's very helpful as we kind of continue down, kind of unpacking a lot of stuff you said. I'm interested because you seem to describe a journey in the business that really went through some big changes. If you compared to where you are today versus when you first started and when you had those first 2 years where you had trucking and service, maybe give a little bit of a description of the two, kind of where you were then versus where you are now, and a little bit how you got there, because you mentioned the people change, right? And it sounds like that was a big part of it. But you don't have to spend 15 minutes on it, but help us understand the big differences you see then and now.
It's a good question, Jeff, and I think it really comes down to like leadership, right? Like everything in business rises and falls according to leadership. So when I look at, hey, the phase of business that I was in then and the phase of business that I'm in now, it's like I'm a much better leader than I was back then. Not just because I have more people or a bigger footprint or a bigger business and more cash flow, not because of that. It's, I was a different leader back then. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
know how to set boundaries. I didn't know how to set clear expectations, how to communicate well, how to set where we were, who we are, why that matters, and having regular meeting rhythms and really selling what we've got going on, our vision and our mission and our core principles and our desired future, like all those different little things
Mm-hmm.
didn't
Mm-hmm.
matter to me then. I was just trying to fix the trucks and make the money so I can hire somebody else and then hopefully make some on the P&L. Like I was so stuck in the business that I couldn't focus on the business or even like my leadership or my communication, any of the soft skills that were involved. So like back then when I was 2 years in, I thought I had to solve every problem, and the leader was the first one in and the last one out. And no one can do it as good as I can, or why can't you do it as well as I can do it? Or just those different limiting thought beliefs and a lot of things that entrepreneurs, and especially when they're bootstrapping a company, they have that preconceived notion of what that really is, but it's really not that. So I was hiring the wrong people. I wasn't vetting them out. I didn't have good hiring strategy. I wasn't asking the right questions. I wasn't being picky with my hires. And then I thought, well, they're good at their job, then they must be good at a leader because that's what's always been modeled to me. And I didn't figure out or read or like
Mm-hmm.
the people, like the difference between leadership skills and technical skills. And just because you're a good technical leader doesn't mean you're going to, or a technical person doesn't mean you're going to be a good leader. So making a lot of those type of decisions and then really focusing on back then of just trying to will it to existence and
Mm-hmm.
going through the grind and then go working till burnout and then resetting and then coming again and inconsistent efforts and not having a good direction of where I'm going and what I needed to focus on. Now, it's a totally different picture. I'm a much better leader. All of my soft skills are much better: communication, delegation, organization, time management, how I set expectations with the team, how I communicate, how I speak, my meeting rhythms, why I do it, casting the vision, looking at the strategic future, investing in people, taking the time to ask the hard questions and helping people through obstacles and how to create their own solutions. And then essentially looking at, hey, these are the boundaries that we have. This is our purpose. This is our mission. These are our core principles. What does that matter? And then just repeating it over and over and over and breaking it down why and asking people to be a part of it, having fun
Mm-hmm.
with it. So those are just a lot of the different things. And I've learned those along the journey. Like if I would have started, the leader that I was back then couldn't run the business that I have now. But the
Great.
leader back then didn't know what I know now, didn't have 5 years to work on those skills and then go through all the obstacles, whether it was at home or here, that had to refine me.
Mm-hmm.
It's the adversity, the it's
The
the adversity
challenge.
forges us the fire. We're forged in the fire, whether it's a relationship or a business. That's though you got to go through the adversities and come out on the other side in order to get better.
Yeah, that seems to be a pattern with you, right? I mean, picking the hardest job, not backing down, continuing to work through something even if it is difficult. So if you had to say, or let me ask you this, would you describe your leadership evolution as more of the school of hard knocks, or is it a combination of things and other people that maybe have helped you along the way?
I would say that it was more the beating my head against the wall until I was
Hmm.
so frustrated that I wanted to quit, and then I said, there's got to be an easier way."
Yeah. School of hard knocks then. That's what you'd say.
School of Hard Knocks mixed with, all right, let me read a book, let me listen to a podcast, let me
Okay.
make a phone call, let me follow this program. So back in 2015, I followed Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University, got out of debt personally and kept that rolling. And then when I started my business, I started listening to his podcast. I read his book, EntreLeadership, and I picked up his coaching program where it was the phases of business, the drivers of business, because I was just like beating my head against the wall. Like, this is so freaking hard. I don't want to do it anymore. Like, how do I got to do it? And I'm like, before I quit, buy a system. Let me learn from other people and try
Yeah.
what he did. And that's really what's been a huge difference maker for me is, hey, get on the system, read the books, listen to the podcast, talk to the other owners, other business owners. And, now it's evolved to, I started a business owners group that we talk about things, we study books, we work through issues, we have
Hmm.
accountability, we sharpen iron sharpens iron. I joined a Vistage group several months ago because I wanted to surround myself with successful people that are walking this journey that can help me through hard times.
There you go. Okay.
Really not on my own anymore. I can read a book, I can listen to a podcast, I can listen to the same book 6 different times about how to build a better culture because they built a really good one at Netflix, and Patty McCord wrote a book about it. So I get to learn from them and how to hire better people. So it's the school
Hmm.
of hard knocks, but I also, like I told you in the beginning, like my mom was a teacher. She instilled in me like a lifelong desire for learning that I just love learning new things. I don't know what it is.
Hmm.
Try to figure out like why do I like learning new stuff? Like I don't want to watch a movie or a show. Like give me a book and let me learn how to new skill. It's just so much more invigorating for me. And I started to do that with business. And then I learned like, holy crap, there's a lot of resources out here that I can learn. And when I apply myself, it actually really helps. Like, this is great. So once I got on that ship and started to sail away, like it just got more and more momentum. And then it feeds that desire. Now I love it. And I'm like addicted to the growth where it just helps me get better and better. And then I get to take it and teach my team and impact their lives and see the growth.
Hmm.
That's really satisfying.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Being a lifelong learner really helped you through that. You didn't stop and you kind of are feeding off of that now, is what it sounds like. So that's cool. Okay. So let's maybe shift gears just a little bit. Let's talk more about your business today. What makes your business unique?
So those are some really key points that I've been focusing on lately is like, what is our competitive advantage? Like,
Hmm.
why are we different than the person selling our services down the road? And I think and I've really come to narrow it down is saying because we have better people, right? We have people who care more, who are more valued at work. They're more fulfilled in what they do, that they go above and beyond because they work in a place that gives them that fulfillment when they show up and they're high performers. When high performers come to work and they get to do work, challenging jobs and solve problems with people that they love to come to work with that push them and they get to see the growth, that they're just more engaged. And
Hmm.
you're in a service-based industry, the people are the difference. When we fix the truck. If the truck is fixed, there's only so well you could fix it or so fast you can do it in, right? It's a
Hmm. Hmm.
commodity-based company. We're selling a service, and it's about price, speed, quality, and service. Be different. We're certain because we're service oriented, we're a people centric company. I'm always going to put my people first because our customers' experience is going to be an extension of our people's experience. So if I have great people that have great experiences here, our customers are intuitively going to have a great experience as well. Now that's a everyday battle. We have to fight that with instilling that, with to hire the right people. We don't always get it right, but that's our mindset. Is saying, how do I have
Hmm.
people and how to have the best culture. And that's what's going to make us better. That's what's going to make us unique, right? And that's how we stand in the marketplace.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. Well, along those lines, I mean, this is a common issue probably for every company. I mean, how do you find and retain those people that really make the difference for you? Because that is a challenge in today's world. I think everybody's looking for the right people. But, you mentioned, you didn't always find or didn't always hire right. But talk a little bit about your process to find those right people that make the difference for you.
100%. And it's not easy. I definitely don't have a winning playbook where we do it every single time. I think it really comes down to is like what we learned and we took away from other successful companies is being super thorough in the interview process. And doesn't mean it needs to be a long process. You can do it quickly, but it needs to be thorough. And you need to get people in the door and they need to get to know the people. And then I think it's the biggest difference now that we have really started to implement, and I've held myself to, is don't ignore the red flags and don't settle for less than the best person.
You've done that in the past, it sounds like. You made those
Yeah,
decisions.
100%. Yeah, I've settled for sure, without a doubt, knowing I settled and ignoring the red flags and just pretending like, oh, it'll be fine. It's no big
Hmm.
deal, blah, 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 lying to myself about, hey, it's too hard to find. I can't find the right person, blaming the market. We're in a technical, all the other crap that business owners and hiring people make up to justify their lack of ability to hire or separate themselves to get good people. I think
Yeah.
it comes down to like a friend of mine taught this to me a long time ago, and he was true. I didn't want to admit it at the time, but he was true. He said, Joe, you're in a service-based industry and a skilled trade. He said, the talent is there, the skill is there. It's whether you want to pay for it or not. Right. And
Hmm.
understanding, okay, pay is really important, and I got to pay my people well, but I got to treat them better and I got to pour into them, right? People come to work because they want to be challenged, they want to learn, and they're not going to do it for less than what they know they're worth. They might do it for a little bit or they're going to be desperate in a position, but the best people know, hey, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to get paid well for what I do, and I'm going to bring the excellence, and I'm going to be people know what they're worth when it comes to
Yeah.
standards, right? And I want to be the top of market when it comes to paying our people and running an efficient business. Can we always afford to pay top of market? Not every single time, but
Hmm.
that's where we want to bring our people to and run an efficient business, be profitable, and help people make more money, impact their lives. And one of the things that we've done recently that's been pretty impactful in our business is we implemented a profit sharing plan. So
Hmm.
everybody inside the company is on a profit sharing plan. So when the company hits our profit sharing threshold goals, everybody gets a slice of the pie and gets to take profit home. So
Hmm.
that's unique to our pay scale or an industry. Like they do it a lot of different industries across the board, and they might call it a bonus or this or that. But we specifically call it profit sharing because when we make the profits, we share in those. So that's been something that's successful for us that I learned from my brother as well and implemented, and it's been helping us hire good people and keep good talented people.
Okay. You mentioned culture, and I think culture has a lot to do with how people enjoy their job, how long they stay. Talk about culture from your point of view. What do you envision with it? Like, what culture do you want? And then, how did you set that culture personally? How did you do it as the leader of the business?
Yeah, so culture, when you look at culture, my understanding is it's the thoughts, beliefs, and actions of people inside the workplace, right? So it's sometimes it's stated, sometimes it's not stated. Sometimes there's a culture in one location and a culture in another. Before I started this company, when somebody told me about a culture of a business, I didn't really know what they were talking about. I
Right.
couldn't describe it. It's not really a word that's used when I was in the skilled trade. I could describe the culture of our shop and I knew what the differences were, but I didn't know how to quantify it or explain it or see what it was. I didn't, the core values, there were just words on the wall. The mission
Hmm.
statement it didn't mean anything to me. It didn't mean anything to anybody in the building. So coming into the building, we did that at school, like, oh, write your business plan, what's your mission, what's your core values, and what's your culture of the company. And they taught me the definition of it and all that stuff. So it was like starting to bring the awareness around because of it. But when I
Hmm.
started to run my own company and I'm the leader, I'm set the tone, I set the culture, it's all going to rise or fall according to how I do it. I'll come,
Hmm.
man, why is everybody like down today? And then like I come in, I'm all freaking pissed, and I start like, yelling at people or like work fat, just running by mood and not mission, leading by mood and not and instead of mission. Then I started to realize like, hey, if I come in and I'm pissed off and I'm going to ruin the mood for the whole building, I'm like, oh wait, that's like the culture of it, and then
Yeah.
learn about it and doing, going to events from Ramsey Solutions and reading books and understanding good cultures and what it means and studying it. And then like why our mission matters and like our core principles and our purpose statement. And I really started to understand like, hey, what makes me tick and what drives me and understanding, becoming self-aware about what I am and that this culture is going to be a reflection of me, right? And different departments are going to be a reflection of their leader. so we have two locations. So the culture at our headquarters is going to be different than the one at Bessemer City, but hey, does that mean it's going to be different because there's different leaders and there's a different group of people, but the leaders set
Hmm.
the tone. So now what we focus on is having a culture of responsibility, freedom to act, but knowing what they're supposed to do. So like why we're here, how we make decisions, our desired future of where we're going and why, like our mission, why are we getting this stuff done? And I really started taking a step back like 2 years ago, year and a half ago, I started implementing like we read books in our huddle. So every single week we'll read a chapter from the book and discussion. We followed themes. We started with Jocko Willick's Extreme Ownership, which is all about personal accountability. So like I lead the huddle. We read 20 minutes of the book. I'll play it on a video and we sit around and talk about it. And like there's a transformation that happens in the workplace. People leave. They're like, I don't want to be accountable. I'm out. And they'll literally quit. And then you think
Yeah.
back, like, hey, why did we lose those three people? And they're like, oh, wait, because we all started holding each other accountable. And like inherently, our culture became one of personal accountability. And the people that stuck on, they're like getting promoted and making thousands of more dollars a year because they were able to look in the mirror and be like, oh man, my role in that thing was I could have been better in communicating this and that. And then the guy next to him was like, I don't know, it was the other guy's fault, man. And you're like, wrong. They don't see it. And then eventually they're like, a month later, they're like, oh man, I got a new job. I don't know. They're offering me more money or closer to the house or, took a pay cut because I want to go work over there. And what I started to realize is like, hey, it's what we're preaching. It's what we're talking about. Like what I talk about, what I push is going to push the culture of the company, right?
Yeah.
So, like, setting that tone and going first and like reading the books and educating my people and just really pouring into them as far and myself and walking that journey with them is what's going to set the culture of this company. And it's been really fruitful. I mean, I love it. I get to come to work with people that are high performers, care what they do. It's like people that I want to hang out with that are I want to be friends with. I get to go to work with them every day now, right? So like
Yeah. Right.
it is a lot more. And it wasn't like, hey, I got this 10-year plan and I'm going to set it all up and this is what we're going to like. It wasn't that smart. Like it was like, hey man, we're gonna read this cool book. I just listened to it 4 times on vacation. It's called Jocko Willick Extreme Ownership, and they got some cool stories in it. Like they blow shit up and kill people in Iraq during the war. I think it's cool because I was in the Marine Corps. So we do it in like 3 months in. We're like, oh man, this is pretty neat. Like I needed this in my personal life. So I always say that personal life. I needed it in my life. I needed more discipline. So I'm gonna bring it into work. And then everybody
Hmm.
like gaining traction. They're like, oh man, this is good stuff. And you start to hear about it and you get the slogans and like people are getting on board and it changes the momentum of people's lives. And it's awesome. You're just like, this is freaking great. This is why I started a business.
Yeah. Okay. So it kind of evolved for you in different ways and different methods to get there. So that's kind of cool. That's interesting. So talk a little bit, if you would, as you look ahead, maybe the next 3 to 5 years for the business. What are your aspirations for it?
So I've recently started thinking bigger. And Ed Milet talked about this, and I'm a big fan of his and give him credit because he pushes my thought process. He pushes my boundaries. Even though I've never met the guy personally, I just like to be pushed in that regard and think about that. I'm a visionary galvanizer. Like I like to have big visions and think about it and like motivate people behind it. Some people say when I speak, I'm like a preacher or something, but I just believe in what we do and I get passionate about it. So when I think about it, like I think about, hey, what is Gallagher Fleet Solutions? And for me, and my goal for 2050 is to be a $1 billion company that impacts and improves the lives of thousands of people by being the best, like hands down the best. Right. So
Hmm.
I have to like take a step back and I'm like, all right, well, if I want to do that, what do I have to do this year? And then what's my 3 year desired future and how I get there? And I worked with a coach and we just worked through this. And our desired future for 2026, at the end of 2026, we want to dominate the Charlotte market as an independent truck and trailer repair business, right? That doesn't mean we own the market but we're dominant. So I've spelt that out. It's like 3 shops, 8 mobile guys. We are the go-to like best in the market while maintaining a 10% profit as we do that, right? So like
Yeah.
scaling with efficiency and maintaining good cash flow, making money, growing our EBITDA so we can scale this. And then 3 years, really what it is like own the Charlotte market, have 5 shops, 12 to 15 mobile guys, and a retail parts house that services the Charlotte market from a strategic standpoint and then entry into a new market. So that's going to be like Triad, Greensboro, Winston-Salem. We're entering there, whether it's from a mobile footprint or from a shop's perspective or both. We want to be entering into the next market to dominate it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's good. All right, we spent a lot of time on the business and kind of how you're developing it and kind of how it's evolved. That's been very interesting. I want to talk more about you now. Okay, so maybe talk a little bit about, you've talked about a lot of things with you, but talk a little bit about what you enjoy most about your role today.
I just really enjoy the challenge of entrepreneurship. I think when I look at it as it's a it's something like as adults, especially for me, like it's like how do I challenge myself, right? Like how do I put my energy into a constructive outlet for my time? How do I get my sense of accomplishment? Like, how do I push the needle? How do I grow myself? And like, how do I grow my family, my two boys, and how do I give them a better opportunity than I was? How do I change my family tree and then set
Hmm.
a path for us, right? And like, how do I be the one that does that? So this is the best opportunity to do it for somebody like myself, right? Like, I don't play professional sports. I don't compete in sports. I like to work out and do different things, but I don't get an opportunity for competition other than at work, right? So
Hmm.
this is
Hmm.
where I get to come out and like have a competitive edge and really drive and I get to this business is a product of what I bring to the table every single day. It's a direct reflection of what the energy I bring, the enthusiasm I bring, the desire I have, how hard I want to reinvest in it. Like I am the tone setter, and I've had to own that, right? And that's once I owned it and was realized, hey, I was the problem. Well, I get to be the solution at the same time. Like that's fantastic. I just really enjoy like entrepreneurship, capitalism, being able to impact people's lives, like change and give them opportunities, pour into them. I like to make money and buy things with the money and do different experiences. So I just really enjoy everything that entrepreneurship in America has to offer.
Well, it sounds like too. I mean, you've come from being fully involved with everything in the business to running a business more, right? I mean, so that's happened as you've got two locations. When you look forward to 3 or 5 locations and the expansion of the business, do you still get the same, or do you still see the same things that you would get satisfaction out of today in those kind of situations in the business?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because every stage of leadership is going to be more and more challenging, right? My skills as a leader have to get better. My communication, my delegation, my leadership, how I communicate and sell the vision and the mission of what we're doing to every single layer of leadership is needs to get better, needs to get better.
Hmm.
It's different opportunities, harder, right? Like it's less of my actual physical actions, then I start to have to put my mind and my mouth to work and even and harder and like learn more people and how to work with them and how to inspire them and different personalities. Like it just makes me, it's a set of skills that I don't have yet developed. And I like the challenge of that and seeing if I can do it. Right. It's like, all
Yeah.
right, I could go out there and fix a truck and diagnose a check engine light and I can run a location. Well, can I run 2 locations? Well, I had to learn a whole bunch of different things about running 2 locations, right? So
Hmm.
3 locations, can I run 5? Can I run different markets, right? So I have leaders in place where they run a whole market, they run a whole market. Can I be the CEO of multiple different businesses? One thing I learned from the trucking side was, hey, if I'm going to do another business again, which I am going to, that it needs to be different people, different set, different mission, different core principles. Like it's got to be a standalone business. There could be some business synergies and some partnerships that work together, but like I can't expect my people to take one hat off and then do some task and take another hat, put it on, and do another task. Like it misaligns their priorities. It's like, well,
Hmm.
I want to have multiple businesses. I need to learn the skill of like how to switch hats and like align the priorities of where I am and how I'm present in that room today and impact those people and make that happen. And that's a different skill I don't have right now. I need to develop that skill. So it's something I like the challenge of it. It's different, but the good part about being in 2026 is there's nothing new under the sun. Someone's always done it. There's better people that have done it before me. I get to read from them, watch from them, learn from them. I don't got to reinvent the wheel. I just got to make sure it applies to what we do.
I see. Okay. So, speaking of challenges, as you look back on your career, if you had to pick probably the one single biggest challenge you had to overcome, what was it and how did you do it?
I think for me, the biggest challenge that I had to overcome was just negotiating the price of what it was worth it for me, right?
Mm,
It wasn't COVID or getting rid of bad leaders and bringing new ones in. It wasn't, hey, how do I bootstrap this thing and finance that, or how do I negotiate a loan or move a business? Like I've been through so much in the last 7 years that I can't say it was one thing that I learned, but I do remember early on, and it was probably 4 years ago, where I had this internal struggle of like, hey, do I want to do this? Is this for me? And it was so much wasted energy that I spent
mm,
on, hey, am I half in? Am I half out? What's the backup plan? If this doesn't work, am I going to go to my old job? Or like, what's the skills? Like, there was just so much noise in my brain. And I just remember like there was a distinct day, and like Ed Milet talks about this, and it was like, hey, what's the price that you're willing to pay to make it worth it? Right. He talks about like, is it worth it? Or are you just negotiating the price, or are you going to determine what's worth
mm,
it? And really what it come down to me for me is I had to negotiate that price where it's saying I'm willing to pay up into this price because it's worth it. And once I decided that, and then really the thing was that I decided was, hey, as long as I don't lose a family member over this, one of my boys or my brothers and sisters or something, there's no price that I'm not willing to pay. I already negotiated that. So once I freed that mental energy up, I was like freaking all in, dude. Like you can't stop me. And I don't
okay.
have there's no obstacle that I'm not willing to overcome in order to get that because I already negotiated the price. I don't have
Hmm.
that lingering thing. I don't have that thing holding me back. I'm all in, baby. We're going, and it doesn't matter what we have to do to get it done. We're going to get it done.
So more of a metaphor on price. What effort are you willing to put in, or what are you willing to sacrifice? Maybe how you could say it as well. Is that right? Is that what you mean
Yeah,
by price?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. John Maxwell talks about, I saw him live speak over the summer, and he talks about as you climb the mountain of success of what you're trying to do and implicate, there's trade-offs at every level. You're going to
Hmm.
plateau and there's a trade-off, right? As you're getting to the top, there's trade-offs. And he did a really good job of painting the picture of like, hey, when you bootstrap a company, there's a payoff that there's a price, right? It's the price of, hey, how many hours am I going to have to work? And as you climb
Hmm.
out, you're going to reach this plateau, and there's another price that you're going to have to pay. Well, I'm going to have to lose some friends, and I'm going to
Mm.
have to take some shackles off. I'm going to have to be all in, right? I'm going to have to take on more risk. I might have to grab some debt, or I might have to take on, a new skill or whatever. There's a price. Or am I willing to pay the price? And then as you keep going, there's more plateaus and more plateaus. And it's like, there is no plateau for me that I'm not willing to pay the price. Other than the fact
Okay.
that like I'm not willing to lose one of my boys over it. That's for sure. One of my kids. So like, that's the only price that I'm not willing to pay.
I see. Okay. And that kind of freed you up mentally to say, I'm all in. We're going to go do this. I'm going to solve these problems. We're going to be a great business and continue to grow. Is that it?
100%.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool, Joe. Yeah. That must have been a pretty cool time. All right. So with that, I mean, these things always go by fast. I mean, it feels like just a minute ago we started, right? But we're already almost 60 minutes in. So I always save this question for last. All right. So if you had to give a piece of advice to a new executive or a new CEO or a new business owner, what would you say to
What I just talked about, negotiate the price up front so that way
them?
you don't have to ask yourself and waste your energy, is it worth it? To negotiate that price. I have guys here in the building, and I've told them before, I'm like, hey man, quit negotiating the price. Figure it out and negotiate and say this is what's worth it. If it's not worth it, then don't do it. But quit wasting your freaking energy on it and let's go. Are you in? Are you out? Like, let me know what the price is. Like, I don't want you to be like, free yourself of those shackles, right? So, like, as
Hmm.
a new CEO, a new executive, a new business owner, negotiate the price up front, make the commitment, be willing to pay the price, and then just get your ass to work and don't apologize and learn new skills, right? Like, always
Yeah.
evolve, always learn new skills. Don't get stuck in the status quo. Like we live in a world where the business is changing so fast. If you're not constantly learning, someone's going to get you. Someone's going to overcome, and they're
Yeah.
going
If
to
you're not improving, you're going backwards. Yeah.
the one piece of advice is negotiate the price, commit to it, and just all in effort.
Yeah, and by price, I mean, would an easy way to explain that be what are you willing to do to be successful in this particular job? Is that it?
100%. Yeah. What are you willing to do? Like the amount of effort, the amount of hours, like what sacrifices you're going to make, what's those trade-offs, right? If you're like, hey, I'm going to have to spend every Saturday of my life for the next 6 months, am I willing to do that? If you're not willing to do it, don't take the job, right? Do
Hmm.
yourself a favor, do the other self a favor, and don't take it, right? It's nothing personal. It's just saying, hey, I'm not willing to pay the price. It's okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. People come in. I'm not willing to pay the price to do this job. Okay, cool. That's no big deal. We'll find somebody who's willing to pay the price. And then they want to be there, right? And
Hmm.
then it's totally worth it to them and empowers them. So just what's the price of your effort and the level of sacrifice that you're willing to be successful in this role? Negotiate that up front and state it. So that way people know how to navigate. Be clear about that. And when you're clear about it, just say, all right, I think it's a negotiation saying, okay, I'm negotiating with you. We set the price. I won't ask you for more than that, but let's go. Once you're there and we've set those things up, then let's go all in.
Yeah, that's great, Joe. I like that. You've certainly been the model of that as you've gone through your career, at least from what we've heard. And I really enjoyed today. Appreciate you being on the show. I wish you a lot of luck and more really skill as you continue to build this business. So I appreciate you being on. Any final words you have?
No, I appreciate you, Jeff. Thank you for spending the time. I always like to learn more, grow my skills. Answering these questions and thinking about it helps me improve. So thank you for giving me that opportunity. Look forward to talking to you again in the future.
You bet. Thank you, partner.